And we don't have a lot of preachers telling you that in the evangelical church today. They don't want to give you any prescriptions on how to do the things that the Bible calls you to do. 5 attributes of godly parenthood. You can tell it's going to be GODLY, something that you can remember. The first thing you got to do is you got to get a godly worldview. Without a godly worldview, you can't be a godly father. And what do I mean by a godly worldview? Well, I'm glad you asked. First thing you got to think about is doing everything to God's glory. 1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you eat or you drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. How is this instructive? Well, because what many will tell you is that God has a separate place in your life. Things I do at the building, those things are God's things. Everything else is my thing. I get to figure out life apart from the scriptures. But that's not what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that you are supposed to do even the most mundane things, eating or drinking. You have to get down to the minute level of, whoa, am I eating this food to God's glory? Am I drinking to God's glory? Because this is what evangelical culture teaches you how to think. What can I get away with? How far can I step over that line before God gets mad? But that's not the way Christians are supposed to think. It's not a minimalist mindset. We don't have a minimalist religion. No, we're supposed to be doing everything to God's glory. And you have to shift that thought pattern and this is what I was talking about in the video that I did a few weeks ago, where I said, until you change the way you believe, you will see the things that I do as unnecessary or over the top. Because I believe 1 Corinthians 10:31, that everything I'm supposed to do as a father is supposed to be done to God's glory. Everything. There is no area of my fatherhood that God does not have direct say over and authority over. And then I go to the scriptures to find out what that looks like. Line upon line, precept upon precept. So after you think about that, after you think about doing everything to God's glory, you've got to think about what he says. Well, in 1 Thessalonians 5:22, you need to flee the very presence of evil. Now, some people are looking at it like, well, no, well, what do you mean? I should be able to look at women and lust after them? Because after all, I'm a man, right? I'm a red-blooded man. I could look. No, you're supposed to be fleeing the very presence of evil. You're supposed to take delight in your wife's body, not in the body of women who you do not have a covenant with. So even that, you have to start thinking differently as a man, that God has a standard of how you're supposed to think and how you're supposed to act. And one of them is to flee the very presence of evil. And then we not just fleeing the presence of evil, you can run away from evil, but what are you running to? You need to run to a pursuit of holiness, right? You are to be holy because I am holy. 1 Peter 1:16, and then so many different verses in Leviticus. I had to cut it down because I didn't have enough space. But God's holy. We are supposed to be holy. We're supposed to pursue holiness. So you don't run away from evil to more evil. That's what a lot of people will tell, or to idleness. No, you run from evil to holiness. Ephesians 4 is very clear about this, that we're supposed to stop doing certain things and fill them with the things that are the opposite, the good things that are opposite. Instead of speaking corrupting, decaying, dying words, well, bless people with your tongue. Instead of stealing, work heartily as unto the Lord. A pursuit of holiness. And we don't have a lot of preachers telling you that in the evangelical church today. They don't want to give you any prescriptions on how to do the things that the Bible calls you to do. Now, how do you do that as a father? And until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, support. Financial support is always appreciated. You can Cash App, Venmo, memberships, super chat, super thanks, super stickers, whatever, super. Anything that you can give helps me to keep this going. But until next time, be on the alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. See y'all around. Bye.